Hey there, guys. Welcome back to our series here. We're talking about lead generation, and we're talking about every business, whether they know it or not, has some kind of a system that invites leads closer to the sale. All right. Let's take a restaurant, for example. They post maybe about what their hours are. They have a Google listing so that people can look them up and see what their hours are. They can even have their menu on there. How many of you have looked at menus before, right? Yeah, we looked at menus. And that is part of warming up the customer. Oh, yeah, I want fried shrimp, poor boy. I want to go there, right? Especially with that little dessert they've got going on, right? So then we go into the restaurant, and then the server's there, building trust with us, making us like the place. The decor makes us like the place. The server makes it like we feel comfortable. The lighting's right. The music is nice. We can have a nice conversation. Now we're enjoying our meal. Man, we're like putting a five-star review out, right? That's the process of taking a lead through to the purchase and then being a happy customer. Because what does that lead want to do? Come back, right? All right. Now, that obviously most of us don't have restaurants. So that doesn't, but the process is the same regardless. It even is the same in ministry. You're inviting women to come into a Bible study or a workshop, right? And you want them to see why they want to come. They're going to have fellowship. They're not going to feel lonely. They're going to learn some special things that are going to make them a better wife or a better mother. And they want to come and they don't have to pay anything. There's free childcare, right? All the things that you're doing to promote, to warm up that lead that tells her, wow, this is for me. I'm in the right place. Okay. So that's what this process is about. I'm challenging you, as we did in the last episode, to really look at from your customer's viewpoint, not yours. What is that process that you're taking her through? And the good news is, if you can find a couple steps that might be missing, as soon as you plug the hole, if you will, you're going to find a lot more leads coming in with more ease. And last week we talked about in the last episode we talked about when we are unknowingly attracting people who really don't fit in the lifeboat, right? We have a product, we have an offer. We went from usually it's because we've experienced some pain in life in a certain area. We found solutions. We had to work to overcome it. And now we really want to help other women collapse time, learn a lot faster than maybe it took us to get to that benefit, right? We want to put them in the lifeboat and say, you know what? We're going to survive this together and we're going to do it well. Let's start dreaming about that sandy beach that we're going to get to and that meal that we're going to have when we get out of this lifeboat, right? So we're going to do this together and you're going to be their guide and you're going to pass out the oars and you're going to pass out the rations and everyone's going to go on the way as you start sailing towards shore because you've got the GPS. All right. So that's what we want to see from our customer's perspective. What is that journey we're taking her on? Not from our perspective, because we don't have the same filter she has. And we need to think about where she is now, not necessarily where she's going to be when she's done. All right. Because she's going to be in a different place. She's going to be making different decisions. So we've got to be speaking to her as she is now, honoring her where she is now, so she feels safe to keep coming along the journey with you. All right. Um, Now, so as long as we're talking to our right fit people, not our wrong fit people, okay? That was last week. So now we're going to talk about that trust ladder. Okay. So we talked about this in an overview in the first back 2 episodes ago, but you take your ladder and you lean it against the wall, right? It has rungs, right? Everybody know what a rung is? That's that thing you step on when you're walking up a ladder, okay? A ladder has rungs, it has steps. And so if you think of your customer's journey as a trust ladder, what does it mean in business to have a trust ladder? And I love this for a kingdom business specifically. Because for a kingdom business, the ultimate goal is that we are creating a trustworthy environment that she is actually believes we can indeed help her, and we indeed want to help her. We are indeed called to help her, and she can trust that we're not going anywhere. This isn't some quick sale we're looking for. This is a ongoing relationship. We want to really help her experience the transformation, and we want to walk with her along the way. We're not dropping her after the sale. All right. And so we're going to be differentiating ourselves from that we are different than maybe some of the other sales experiences they have had, whether it's a coaching experience or it's a product related experience. Okay. So on our trust ladder, I want you to, this is probably, you're probably gonna be like, yeah, obviously. But where do you think most people buy on a trust ladder, right? You got the bottom rung and you got the top rung and a bunch of rungs in between. Where do you think most people make their buying decision? Okay. Well, their ultimate buying decision, not little micro maybes, but like purchasing, like they're actually purchasing. Well, yeah, at the top of the ladder, right? Because it takes time to nurture someone to create the trust. And there's things that we do in business that create that trust, and there's things that we do that break that trust. We probably 100% of the time do not mean to break trust. All right. But we need to understand from her perspective what's going on. So the first thing she sees is you posting. That's the bottom rung. All right. Now we're going to talk about what are those different things that you can extend that will keep her walking up that ladder, that makes it by the time she gets to the top of the ladder, she knows who you are, she knows what you offer, and she's got a high degree of likelihood to want what you have, or else she's not climbing all the way up there, right? She's moved on already. Okay. Because your language is clear, who you're speaking to, you're telling wonderful stories about the pain you were in and others and the results that they've gotten. You're giving wonderful value. All right. So let's get into these rungs on your ladder. And actually, before I even get into each rung, because I'm going to give you different examples, very specific examples. Before I do that, though, I want you to imagine, as we said last time, in case you weren't there or you forgot, what if you're at the bottom step of the ladder and you can see the top step of the ladder way up there because you kind of know someone's probably trying to sell you something. There's something way up there. But what if you don't see any other rungs and you're like, whoa, she wants me to go from here to there? She wants me to go from this kind of low trust, sort of barely interested to pulling out my credit card or pulling out, no, not doing that. Okay. So you've got to know what are those invites and how do you not make take the right invite, but give it at the wrong time. So Gail, what the heck are you talking about? Here we go. An ideal, so she sees your post, right? She sees your post. It's about menopausal women. Sorry, I'm a menopausal woman. I use it all the time as an example. So she sees your post about menopausal women, and it's something that entices her. It's clearly identified a pain point, maybe not sleeping well, peeing too many times in the night, whatever. Okay. And it's drawn her in. And you're sharing a resource. You're sharing 5 top tips you've learned this week about it. Whatever it is you're sharing, it has drawn her in. And then at the end, you ask, if this resonated, give me a heart in the comments. If this helped, give me a heart in the comments. Or if this resonated, give me a heart in the comments. Don't leave me hanging. Anybody else out there dealing with this too? Right. And so you're going to get some hearts in the comments, right? That's just that first rung. She is engaged. She's taken a step onto the bottom rung of the ladder. All right. And you might think, well, she should feel safe there. Right. And you do feel pretty safe at the bottom rung of a ladder. All right. But we're asking her not to stay there. We're asking her to come up. So we've got to keep increasing her trust and feel that this is a safe thing. She can keep moving up. So what would be a great next invite? Well, a great next invite is some kind of a resource that's going to capture her email. So, for example, hey, I noticed that you liked that post that I did. I'm curious. I have um, a guide on mind, body, and spirit, simple steps menopausal women can take that can help bring them to a thriving mindset when it comes to menopause. Would you like to see? No, that wasn't a very good example, but would you like to see it? So basically, you're telling her things that are in the guide that she is very, very likely going to be interested in. And she's going to say, sure, I'd like to see that. Then you drop the link. She opens it up. She puts her email address in, and boom, it it gets sent to her. Okay, so that's a great next step. Another next step before that could be you can try that, and if you've got enough warm people, people who've been around in your space, that could work. But if she's really brand spanking new, I would do a poll next. And you ask a question and then you give 4 different answers and then people vote. Okay. Why that's good is because again, it's another step on the ladder. She's coming towards you. She's still sticking around, but she doesn't have to pull her credit card out. She doesn't have to do anything. She doesn't have to join a group. She doesn't have to, give an email address. She doesn't have to give a credit card. All right. So that's a great next step. Asking a question is in that same category. Hey, I'm curious, how many of you, da da da, or how many of you, I'm looking for a menopausal supplement that is helping you when it comes to your sleep. Please drop your no links, but just drop the ingredients or something in the product, or what ingredient is most helping you in your sleep, something like that. Okay. So you get people dropping helpful things. Okay. Sticking around. Now, then you can move into that lead magnet, right? They're going to opt in. Another, once they've opted into the email, then you can invite them into a Facebook group. Hey, I have a Facebook group. It's dedicated to helping menopausal women find simple solutions through diet, supplements, exercise, spirit-led things, Holy Spirit-led things. If it's faith-based, if that would appeal to you and you would like to come check it out, just say yes, and I'll drop the link here for you. Okay. So you see, we're adding another rung on the ladder. Then in that Facebook group, you go live and you do a little mini training on something that you learned about menopause. You tell a story about someone else's journey or your own journey, from pain to promise. And you're not promising any outcomes, but this is a real true story, and you're sharing that story. And it gave you hope, and you pray it gives them hope. And then you can go into someone's DM and say, hey, I know you're in the group. So glad to have you. I did a training today on this. If you missed it, if you'd like to see it, just say yes, and I'll drop the link here for you. So now you're dropping the link to the training that you did to take them back into the Facebook group. And I'd love for you to comment, or you could do a prize once a week. You can say, everybody who shares this today is going in a raffle for a prize. Guess what the prize is? One little small thing that you sell that is of value. Okay. Or it's a free resource that you give out, but it's a good resource. Okay. Maybe you have a resource that's the top 5 podcasts for menopausal women, top 5 YouTube channels for menopausal women, top 5 books I've found for menopausal women. Maybe it's just your top 5, and you've got all 15 of those things on there. Now, if I was a menopausal woman and you told me you had that, your top 5 podcasts, your top 5 books, and your top 5 YouTube channels that have helped you on the menopausal journey, girl, I'm going to want that resource, right? So I'm going to give you my email address for that resource. Okay. Now, the next ultimate thing that you can invite. So now we're getting higher up on. We are not to the very top, but we're getting up there. All right. Now you want to invite them into a space that's going to be more intimate, a Zoom gathering. All right. There's lots of different things you can do when you gather your right fit women into a Zoom gathering. You can just do nothing but have some community. You could have a book club. You could have a workshop, a master class. There's lots of different things that you can do in a Zoom gathering. But the most important thing you're doing in there is you're bringing like-minded women together. And they're looking around and they're realizing, I'm not alone. And this woman who I've been trusting is giving me value right now. All right. She is giving me value. And I don't want to stay in this stuck place that I'm in anymore. And then you tell them, look, I'm going to deliver this value during our Zoom gathering. And at the end, some of you I have something at the end I'd like to invite you into. Some of you are going to want to know more. And those of you who do, this might be an answer to prayer. And so then at the end, you're going to tell them about your products, or your product and your mentoring, or your coaching. Okay. And you're going to invite them into it. Now, from that Zoom gathering, so much has happened. They have built all of this trust with you, continue trust. Now they've gotten to really see, hear, know you, be with you on Zoom. They've gotten to see all the other women who are like-minded and like them that are coming closer. It is just a beautiful thing. Now we are at the top of the rung on the ladder. This is where most women who are going to buy, this is where they make their buying decision. All right. Now, they don't necessarily make their buying decision that moment. All right. The 80% make their buying decision when you follow up from that moment. Okay. So they're thinking about it. Some of them will take quick action, 20%ers. All right. But the other 80%, you need to honor that they're interested. Girl, they wouldn't have climbed that ladder if they weren't interested. That's a lot of rungs on the ladder they climbed to get into a Zoom room with you. Okay. So Now you're going to circle back with them, check in with them, ask for feedback. What are they thinking about what you showed? What were they most interested in? There's powerful questions that you can ask at that stage. And so that is your ladder. All right. If you're missing a rung or two, she's going to think, I ain't making that jump. All right. So if you just have a lead magnet and now you're inviting her to a sale, or if you just did a post and now you're inviting her into a video or a customer training or a group training, you're asking her to jump too far. You need interim steps. And I know for some of you, you might be going, oh my gosh, that's the problem. Been the problem all along is I've been trying to make them go take too big of a leap and I didn't have the other rungs there for them. So I'm really excited. This is really the customer lead generation, your lead generation system. Okay. From her perspective with the trust ladder, knowing what those steps are, this brings you great clarity during your day. You know where they are in the ladder and you know what the right invite is. And the more you practice this, the more intuitive it even gets. The more niched you are, the easier it gets. All right. You're going to be able to hear those objections come out of her mouth before she even says them. All right. And you're going to understand from others who've gone before what helped her make the decision that she really was already wanting to make. She wanted change. She didn't want to stay stuck where she was. She wanted the coaching. She wanted that next step. She wanted those supplements. All right. But she had some internal struggles going on, and you helped her walk through those and break through. All right, guys. Go down into gailroot.com, check out the event that we have coming up. Make sure you're registered for it. We're going to take your journey in real time together. We're going to work on this. Okay. And always look for events. There's always something there for you. Come on over to our Kingdom Businesswomen Facebook group. It is faith led growth and simple systems. That's how we build, ladies.